All right, what's up, tycoons? What's up, traders? Super excited for today's video. Coming at you guys with another viewer request. We're going to take a look at Baba this time, okay? And this is Alibaba. And we're going to look at things on the weekly chart. We do have a little bit of a weekly chart setup right here. And we're just going to keep a close eye on this one, all right? And really go over what it is that I see. We do have an inverse head and shoulders here forming, as well as bullish divergence on the relative strength index. We'll take a look at the DMI as well. And this shows you who's in control, whether it's buyers or sellers. We're going to break all of that down. But before we do, we have to go over the disclaimer. The content provided in this YouTube channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. Myself and any individuals on this YouTube channel are not registered financial advisors or brokers. Trading in stocks, bonds, commodities, and crypto involve a significant risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. So be sure to read through the full disclaimer. We'll go ahead and move forward. And so this is our setup that we have here currently, right? Now, we've got some major resistance levels up to the upside. And if you see, we actually just broke through this 87.82 or 87.72 level. You can see, we tested it multiple times over here and here as well as over here. It's a pretty strong level, and we're currently trading below it. Now, our momentum clouds, right, which I have a whole video on this indicator if you just want to look up ZachlyTrades momentum. All right. They are shifting to red here currently at the moment, but they're squeezing. So typically when they're squeezing, it's looking for a larger move. So we'll see if that larger move is going to be to the downside. We do have, as I mentioned, an inverse head and shoulders forming. So if we take a look, our left shoulder is right about within this range here, and we're kind of entering that zone right now. So really, what we want to see if this continues to break down, we want to see it find some type of support in here. If you're looking to go long or be bullish on here, you're going to look for it to find some support there. All right. If it breaks down below there, that's going to invalidate this overall inverse head and shoulder structure. And then you would possibly looking to target a potential double bottom, right? Those are going to be really the only bullish setups that you have right now here currently. All right. So we're touching right shoulder territory and possibly forming a right shoulder. You want to see, if we can, bounce off of this area, bounce off of this level and get back above that 87.72 resistance level now at the moment. Right. If that happens, we have the potential for the inverse head and shoulders to play out. This is our neckline right here on the inverse head and shoulders. And if we are able to break out, get a retest and push higher on the neckline, that would take BABA up to about $150 to about $180 per share. Now, that's a very, very far move from now, and this is a weekly time frame. So remember that this is not going to happen quickly, right? These developments, this pattern is more of a long-term structure, being that we're on a much larger time frame. Now, I mentioned that we also have bullish divergence. So if you take a look here, we can see that we had a low on the price of the stock, right? And then we had another low on the price of the stock. So what we're doing in a sense is creating a low and then a lower low. But if you look at your relative strength index at the same point, right? We have a low here, and then we actually create a higher low. So this is a term known as bullish divergence when the RSI is creating higher lows, but the price of the stock is actually making lower lows. And it's an indicator you may see some type of bullish activity. And sure enough, we ended up bottoming right here, and we went on a very strong rally from $58 all the way up to $120. And you can see that that's also a very strong resistance level that we ended up pushing back down at. All right, so I'm not in any positions on BABA currently. I'm not long, I'm not short. Again, this was a viewer request, but I do want to kind of start giving you guys some more of these individual setups and kind of individual plays rather than, just necessarily TLT or some of the macro stuff, that I cover in TLT and natural gas. I make a lot of videos concerning those, but, there's lots of individual plays that we get in as well. I did a video on GE here recently. We shorted that one. That one went up 20% on the option contracts that we had shorted. Today, I just got stopped out of those GE shorts, actually, but they were in profit, right? JD is another one. I mentioned JD. And then, right after we had that JD video, JD ended up going up a little bit. So right now we're looking at BABA. BABA does have a potential setup here. I'm going to see how things develop, some more in the future and see if there are any opportunities. So definitely keep this one on your watch list. Again, not financial advice, not telling you guys to go out and buy this just because there's simply a setup. Nothing has been confirmed. All right. You need to wait for confirmation. So remember, we could come down here and form that right shoulder, right? If we do continue to head lower and stay below this 87.72 level right now, one thing that you could look for is a retest of this bullish divergence trend line. So if the RSI continues to head lower and we bounce off of here, it is possible we could see another strong bounce off of this initial bullish divergence trend line here that we ended up forming. I mentioned the DMI, right? So if we take a look at the DMI, we can see that this red line has actually curled up above the green line. This indicates that sellers are actually now taking control and have taken control of the buying and selling right now on BABA. And we've seen about 3 weekly candlesticks right here. If this weekly candlestick closes lower, or closes right at the range that we're at right now, this is actually going to form a bearish candlestick pattern known as 3 black crows. And this is a bearish pattern that indicates potential future bearish activity, being that it's a bearish candlestick pattern. Now, if you're not familiar with bearish candlestick patterns, I have a free trading course playlist on my YouTube channel, right? And you can go on there, and one of the very first 2 videos are actually candlestick patterns, right? And so I go over bullish candlestick patterns as well as bearish candlestick patterns. And if you're new to trading or feel like you could use, a little bit more knowledge, as we all need to keep a high willingness to learn and a high teachability index, we have to, basically what that means is that you're never going to stop learning when it comes to trading, especially, right? And you're never going to really reach peak, right? You're always going to have room for improvement. So you need to have a high willingness to learn and actually put in that work and time to learn. And then you also need to have a high teachability index to where you're not stuck in your ways and you think that one thing that you learned is the only right method. You also want to learn some different things and be teachable, right? So if you have both of those things, if you have a high teachability index and you have a high willingness to learn, then I think that it is possible for you to end up getting success in the stock market. And, I definitely recommend checking out that free trading course playlist that I have. I really started it from an A to Z perspective, right? It's not done. It's still being completed, but it's completely free. And it takes you from candlestick patterns down to drawing support and resistance, down to drawing supply and demand zones. And then, it dives a little bit further into some different strategies and then actually combining multiple strategies together to help give you an edge. Trading is like going to battle. Okay. It's like going to war. And your money is your soldiers. Okay. That's your soldiers that you have, right? So you want your soldiers to have the best weapons and to be properly equipped with the best weapons. And then you want them to know how to actually use those weapons properly. That way they can increase their odds of success on the battlefield. All right, so appreciate you guys watching the video. If you have any stocks that you guys would like me to make a video on, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to break it down, give you guys some technical analysis, let you know what I see, if there's any patterns forming, if there's any divergences or any type of signals indicating possible future bearish or bullish activity. I'll be sure to break that down